What is an in silico clinical trial, actually?
What is an in silico clinical trial? Okay, you have to imagine that currently we are able to build computational models of physiology, of health and disease, and we can do that on a personal level. That means that we are able to predict, for instance, what happens if you receive a treatment, for instance, for a stroke. Now, a trial is that we try to create 100 or a few hundred digital patients in the computer and then mimic the treatment on these few hundred patients as if we were doing a real trial. And this will allow us to get information on the population level as if we were doing a real trial. So that, in short, is an in silico trial.
Okay, so virtual patients.
Yes, these are virtual patients, meaning that we have a computer model of a patient. So that would not be a full person, but for instance, a part of a blood vessel or, a part of your heart or things like that. So we mimic a part of a disease.
Okay, and what are the challenges for in silico clinical trials?
Many. So modeling physiology sounds easy, but it isn't. And the biggest challenge now is we more or less understand in many cases how we can build models of physiology or pathophysiology. But in order to really validate these models, so to be sure that the predictions are correct and that we understand the errors that we make in these predictions, that is the biggest challenge for us from the part of the modelers. For that we need very, very good data, both clinical data but also from in vivo, in vitro experiments. And we need to be able to really pinpoint all the parameters that we have in our models. We need to measure them. And that is really the biggest challenge so far in this field.
Okay, that sounds very spectacular, actually. How will in silico clinical trials look like within the INSIST project?
That's interesting. So in INSIST, we want to create in silico trials for treatment of acute ischemic stroke. So the way we envision that is that based on all the clinical data that has been collected over the years, for instance in the Mr. Clean trial, in the contrast trials and in Hermes, we want to extract information on patients. So that means statistics of patients. Once we have that, we can generate what we call a virtual population. So that would be, for instance, a certain age group of certain inclusion criteria that you would also do in real trials. Then we have this population in the computer, and then we run it through a workflow. We have to do a number of simulations on each individual patient. Now that is of course a big black box, and that's going to be the hard work in INSIST to build the virtual population and to build this black box to mimic the treatment. But on the outside, it will look like as if you were doing treatments on all these patients, one by one in the computer. You are collecting the outcome, and then you can do the statistics on the outcome. So my hope is that in the end, people that would use such an in silico trial from INSIST would be dealing with the output of these simulations as if they were dealing with data that they get from real patients. So in the end, it should look exactly the same as running clinical trials. Can we deliver that? I don't know. We have 4 years to do that. We will do what we call a proof of concept by the end of INSIST. So in 4 years' time, you ask again, and then we will have a discussion, did we actually deliver? And can we deliver these kinds of ideas in reality? Well, still a big question mark.
Well, we'll speak again in 4 years.
Thank you, we will.
Thank you.